I swear, every time something goes wrong. Well, now there's no point in having that link. Let me see if this one's working. So I was trying to film on a different phone, and I guess like it was working in the beginning and now it's not. So now I'm on my old phone, and I have to have it plugged in because it's always dead. So sorry about that. Okay, let me look at your guys' comments. Pull them up. So the reason why I was trying to film it on a different phone is because I was trying to pull up the message that was sent to me by the person that was in the order, and maybe I can just try to remember it because I don't think I can pull it up on my phone, and it's on this phone that I'm recording with. But maybe Michelle can help me with it, because Michelle, are you here? Denya, love these culty coffee chats. Me too. I'm so glad. I do love the hat, Crystal. Thank you. I will always wear it. Okay, maybe I'll ask the question when Michelle gets back on here, if she's coming back on. But basically, the person had mentioned that I should bring up how the order has back accounts with their money. Michelle's here. Okay, good. She can help me clarify this. So when I was talking about like the video about Christy Tucker, I got a lot of messages from current order members that were like shocked. And I know that like outsiders might think, oh, that's not even that big of a deal that she went to a dance with a that the leader went to a dance with a girl, but like it's a huge deal to order members. I had multiple order members DMing me. Some were mad that I posted that, and then some were like, I can't believe that this was a thing, that this is real. But someone did comment, and I might need Michelle to like clarify me if I don't explain this correctly, but what they were saying is how the bank system works, and how, because I've had a lot of people asking like, how come the government can't just come in and give everyone their money back? But what they do is, at least from what I remember, at the end of every year, they like your surplus money would go into what they called a back account, and like it would go into hiding, and basically like only like few people had access to how much was actually in that account. So, and even me, I had no idea how much was in my back account. And as soon as I started showing signs of like rebelling and I was gonna leave, then I asked what was in my back account, and they were like, oh, there is no back account. But like there was a back account, but because I was showing signs of leaving, then they lied to me. So I have no idea how much was actually in there. I remember my account always said the same amount, even though I was working since I was like 8 years old, and I didn't have access to my money. I couldn't even get it out. So they kept taking the surplus and putting it into this back account. And I wish I could read the message, that because they explained it so well, but I don't remember what the reason was that they would explain. Some people would say it was so that we would save our money by not like being able to see how much we had, but obviously that's not the real reason. It was just so that they could take it. But I wonder if, okay, yeah, Michelle says yes, the back account as well as let's see. Yes, the back account as well as the legality of our statements we got in the order. Yeah, so it's probably just a way to like protect themselves, so there's no paper trail of how much money is actually there. And the statements are actually really hard to read. I mean, I had statements for 17 years of my life, and it's still like, by the last statements that I got, it still was hard for me to realize like what is going in, what's coming out, like what is the total number. You had to like plus and subtract, and like they made it so confusing for you to know how much is in your bank account, so that you would be confused on how much you actually had. Um, I actually brought that up I was like standing, like, you know how you get asked to be up for questioning in a court case? I was asked to be in a court case, and they brought up the statements. And that was like what I said. I was like, I never knew how much I had because they made it so confusing. But they do it that way so that it's like they can be like, what bank? We don't have a bank. There's no proof, you know? And then they keep getting away with what they're doing. Hey Amanda, did you ever get the DM I sent you about the website? I sent it and I didn't see you open it. I thought that I responded. Maybe there's been a few people that sent me that same website. Are you talking about the website that the order made for like explaining the order to the public? M Smith, let me know if that's what you're talking about. Because I had a few people show me the website that is like the DCCS, Davis County Co-op Society, yeah, LDCC website. And if you go to it, I'll have to share the link. I was thinking of doing a whole video on it. Let me know if you guys would be interested in that. I'll basically dive into the website that the order made for their own church. They were like painting it out to be something that was not the cult. Like they were saying that they don't pressure polygamy and they welcome all colors and it's so not true. So I would love to do a video on that if you guys would be interested in it. Just basically picking apart how their website is not accurate. Michelle says, technically we were earning units, not money. You could fight it in court, but it takes a lot of explaining. Yeah. They do it that way. They make it so confusing and hard to understand so that it's like, people are like, well, it's too, why bother, you know? Lovin' Life 9419. Do order members have outside jobs? Some of them do, but like, I definitely wasn't allowed to have an outside job. I don't think the women are really allowed to have outside jobs. I've seen some of the men have outside, um, if it benefits the order. Just like when Paul wanted a doctor, then they had someone go to school to become a doctor, and they have a clinic in like Salt Lake. And lawyer. Well, when he has people become lawyers, it's really for the order. So technically, they're working for the order. Um, but there have been some that had outside jobs bringing if it can bring money into the order and it's like a lot of money, then he'll be okay with that. But usually he doesn't like them to do that. I've even heard that late recently. I heard this from someone in the order recently. So a lot of order members will breed animals to make money off of their like puppies, and so they'll sell like, what is the dog breed? It's like a dog breed that's like a lot of celebrities have been buying lately because it doesn't shed. But they'll sell like each puppy for $1,000, and a lot of them have been selling this dog breed and making a lot of money. And Paul, I'm hearing Paul doesn't like that they're doing that because they have access to all this money and they're not turning it in to him. So I think that he really just likes them to continue working for the kingdom of God, for him, so that the money is always being recycled back and there's like a trace of it for him, you know? He doesn't like them getting money and not giving it to him. But I'm trying to think of anyone that had an outside job in the order that I knew. I mean, I knew people that they sent. Hmm. Yeah. Who do I know? I swear someone did. Obviously, like Jacob Kingston, the one that went to prison or like is gonna go to prison for the biofuel fraud. You can look him up. But like that was there was a reason for him to be working with outsiders was because they were gonna be bringing a lot of money. Autumn's here. Thank you, Autumn. Um, sorry, you guys' comments are going by really fast. Where am I? I lost track. I was wondering how it worked when you told the story that children had to start paying for their parents' house all over again when they already owned it. I wonder why they wouldn't take them to court. Because these kids are order members. So you have to remember when the parents you're referring to that story we talked about in the last culty cup of coffee episode with Cami. So for those of you who missed that, Cami was explaining how she knew someone where the parents worked their entire life to pay off their entire house, and they were like they had grandkids by the time they were paid off the entire home in full. And then when they passed away, the child wanted to own that house, which in the real world he would be able to, right? They would be able to own the house, but in the order they said, we will give you a deal. We'll let you buy the house back for the price that they bought it, which is way cheaper. Back in the day it was way cheap, but you can buy the house back. So he ended up just making payments to the order for the house that his parents already owned. But the reason why he wouldn't take them to court is because he was a devoted order member, and he believed that all of your incomings and outgoings are in the name of the Lord, and that's the way it works. But also, I think that a lot of order people don't know how outside money and like real estate and stuff like that works. Because when I left, I'm gonna tell you a little story. Eskel was like contemplating leaving and he would like sneak out and come see me. And one time he was like, well, Dad said that you're in a lot of debt because you have an apartment and you just owe a bunch of money to the apartment complex. Like, I don't think my dad even knows how it works. Like, he was acting like I bought the apartment and I owed them so much money. And Eskel even asked, he's like, can I see your bank account to see if you even have any money in there? And I was like, well, first of all, I pay like 800 bucks a month, and so I don't like, I'm not in a bunch of debt. I'm not in any debt. And I showed him my bank account. I had savings, and he was like shocked that my dad was lying to him. But I don't know if my dad was like trying to lie to him or if he really believed that that's how like things work out here. I don't know. He's probably just trying to scare him. I don't know. But I do think that a lot of people in the order think that that's how it works, you know? Because how would they know if they didn't talk to outsiders, if they're not allowed to talk about that stuff? So yeah, a lot of the times when your parents die, you have to end up buying the home again. Like they're just trying to make as much money as they can off of you. Michelle says, flicker fade, yes, it's illegal for them to do that way, which is how they get around not having a bank. When you turn your money in, it is converted to units and then it can only be used as an order member. Yeah. But that's like that gets confusing though because like they want you to keep your money in the order and it is units so you can go to like John's Marketplace and all of like the order companies and use it like by saying you would go there and be like, hey, can you put it on my card number, like my card number is 603519A, and they would like find my card number in the system and then take it out of like, so the units I guess out, but technically we could get cash out. So but it was very hard to get it out. um I guess that's where it gets kind of confusing. But that's why they wanted us to just go to order companies. They were always pushing us to never put our money towards outside businesses. Like that, literally in the order, the memory gems that we would say every day were, if the order doesn't have it, we don't need it. So basically meaning if we can't get it from an order company, we shouldn't be buying it anyways. And I brought this up all the time in Sunday school. I'd be like, well, what about cars? We don't have a car shop. I think they do now, but back then they were like, well, okay, well, you can do that. But, and then I remember someone was like, what about wedding dresses? And then the teacher was like, family stores has wedding dresses, so you can't have that excuse. And then the girl was like, well, they're all ugly. But yeah, that I think that's a big reason why they tried to keep the money just in the system. So there's like probably just so there's not as much, I don't know, evidence that it's a bank. Hey Amanda, is Christy Tucker related to Priscilla Tucker? That is a good question. I should know that. Why don't I know that? I'll find out. Michelle, do you know that? Getting cash, it was then converted back. Sorry, I'm trying to read from my lampy toppy. They didn't want, yeah, they didn't want you doing that. That's what Michelle's saying. They didn't want you converting your cash and getting money out, you know. Hey Amanda, could you do a video on the holidays in the order? I think Sam and Melissa just did a video on holidays in the FLDS. I could. Our holidays were pretty fun actually. For just imagine like a Christmas with like a buttload of kids. My sister Cami just texted me. Oh, is Cami watching the live? Oh, I guess so there. Okay, sorry, I accidentally clicked the text from Cami. As a Christian, we were always taught that the Bible says to follow the law of the land. I heard that, and I actually brought that up to my dad because I was like, because they you know how the order and a lot of these polygamous cults believe that they're above the law because like God's law is above the law, and like they believe that like the Gentiles and the worldly people are controlling the world, and the world is becoming more and more like Satan. So we need to abide by the higher laws, which may be against the laws of the land. But yeah, that's a really good point. The Bible literally says abide by the laws of the land, and I brought that up to my dad, and he would always say stuff like, well, what version of the Bible are you reading? You know, men changed the Bible. It's like, then what's the point of the Bible if like you can just decide what's real and what's not? Michelle says, I know we're all related, but I don't know how close they are. I need a paper. I know that's exactly like to like connect the tree of like all of the like incest and stuff. Did they pay local tax like state and city for property? That is a very good question. So, it's hard to say because like when I looked up my mom's property, my mom's house, like it's not in her name. Like a lot of them don't have it in their name. They put it under like my mom's house is under Ensign Learning Center, is owned as one of the properties, and I think they did that to try to get it as a write off, so they didn't have to pay taxes. They do things in ways so that they can slide by with paying as least the least amount of taxes as possible, and that's another reason why like all of the women who are like I think we talked about this in the last video. My dad on my birth certificate is Kyle Grant, which is a fake name. So my mom is technically a single mom, and my dad doesn't have to pay child support. So she gets food stamps and she gets Medicaid, she gets all of this help, and all the women there are doing that. Like they're getting anything they can for free. And so as far as the like real estate that they own, Ensign Learning Center has a bunch of this was on the news actually last year. I talked about it on the news. It was on Fox 13. Maybe I'll leave the link down below if you guys are interested. But Ensign Learning Center has a bunch of properties in its name, and Ensign Learning Center is a school. So it's just kind of shady that they were putting it underneath the business, and then they were saying it was like for charity so that they could get a write off. But I don't want to like say everything because like I don't know word for word exactly what they were doing, but that's like what I was because I went to the board meetings and stuff, and I was talking to like the news reporters, and we were researching everything, and I don't know, just sounded like a bunch of fraud. But yeah, so the like my mom, she gets to live in the house. It technically that house was given to her by her dad, but the order took it because you can't be an order member unless you give all your income. You're not going to the name of the Lord, so she had to give it up to the order. She gets to live in it, but she's paying rent. She's paying rent. My brothers are paying rent. Like everyone pays rent to the order, even if you, yeah, owned the house previously. Sorry, let me catch up to you guys. Have you ever considered doing a genealogy thing like Ancestry? That would be interesting. That would be. That would be a long. I would need a lot of people's help. I would need to be like Allison, Michelle, Cami, Rachel, because it gets very convoluted. Sorry. Can you guys see me? It keeps glitching. Out of curiosity, what is it like having pets in each family? I don't remember seeing too many pets on Escaping Polygamy or any of the polygamy shows. Okay, Brittany, that's a really good question, and I'm answering that in my Q&A, which is coming out on Tuesday. I'm gonna be answering a lot of your guys' questions that I've been seeing. I've been seeing a lot of like that same question, like were you guys allowed to have pets? Because the FLDS, the one in Colorado City, Warren Jeff's group, he made a rule where when he went to prison that they weren't allowed to have animals, any pets. They like he said like it was almost like they were taking like joy away from them. Like I feel like it's just because he was in prison and he couldn't have happy things, so he was trying to take away all the things that made his followers happy. I don't know. He had to suffer, so everyone else had to suffer. So he told them to to get rid of their animals, and some of them like put them in shelters, some of them like released them in the wild, and then some of them ended up killing their own pets. But we were allowed to have pets, but it's kind of along the lines of what I was just saying. Like, you have to be making money off of them. So a lot of people will have dogs, but they'll be breeding them, and it's like kind of sad. They'll be like breeding them a lot just to make money off of them. Very rarely did I see someone who had a pet just to have a pet. Like, I feel like the order, and maybe Michelle knows. I don't think Michelle's family had pets actually. But like definitely for us, it was like okay, you can have this dog, but you need to be like giving a certain percentage of however much you make off of the puppies back to mom and dad and whatever. So it's sad. Bleeding the beast. I watched these news videos when you posted them last year. Okay, yeah, awesome. So Crystal knows what I'm talking about. If anyone else was wondering what I was talking about with the news reports, I can leave them linked in my description box down below. Amanda, does the order have their own child welfare system? What happens to the children should the mom die? Has the government child welfare investigated families in the order before? Um, that is a good question. I feel like what I've seen when moms die, then like the kids will be passed to like the next wife in the family, or like the mom's sister. It's kind of like just like the kids get passed around. There's also been like as far as like getting involved. I actually had a case where DCCS got involved, and yeah, it was like a freaking mess because like DCSS got involved in some abuse that was happening to me because someone had called, and like the whole order was like trying to cover it up, and it was like maybe I'll do a video on that. But I can't really speak from like other people's experiences because I don't know too many instances. There was a time where the state got involved because there was kids. So like when you do daycare at home, then they have to do house checks. And one of the wives, I don't know if it was, I'm not gonna say who it was because I'm not sure who it was, but if you look it up, if I looked it up, I could find out. Anyways, so basically they were doing the house checks, right? Because they're getting paid by the state by doing these daycare systems at home. So they have to get these checks like every so often to see if everything's up to code. And when they went there, like no one was watching the kids. There was a kid running around the house with a knife. And so they got like reported. I don't know what exactly happened because they got in trouble. It was on the news, and it's like on the internet somewhere. Maybe I'll find the link. But they're like a year or two passed or some time passed, and now they're doing daycare again at home. So I feel like Utah's laws specifically are very interesting. Like they are very family oriented, and when there's abuse in a home, and this happened a lot in the order, when a child would like report abuse to the police or to like the state or any person of authority, they really try to just put the kid back in the home. So maybe things have changed because there's been a lot of that, but like I feel like people really didn't listen to the kids, and they just would listen mostly to the parents and take the parents' side. Michelle says, we didn't have pets. You had to be creating a surplus. Yep. In everything you do, you have to be creating a surplus. So even with having pets, yep. It's actually a pretty, sorry, I'm like holding this with my hand because my stand broke and I can't go sit over there because my phone's charging. But yeah, so animals were not seen as, they were just seen as something that you can profit off of. In Escaping Polygamy, did Kathy abandon her dogs? I don't think those were her dogs. I know, I saw that too, and a lot of people, we were watching, it was like we were having an Escaping Polygamy marathon with a group of people, and everyone was like, oh, she just left her dogs there. But no, I think it was the neighbors' dogs that were like chained up. Because I'm pretty sure I never saw Kathy with dogs. Have you seen Escape from Polygamy? It's a movie that was featured on Lifetime. When was that one made? I don't think I have seen that one. I rescued a dog the day before yesterday from a mistreatment situation. He's in an Australian cattle dog. Those are really smart dogs. Added to our Australian cattle dog pack. Wow. I want to get a dog. My dog just recently passed away, so I'm like, I part of me wants another one, but then a part of me like doesn't ever want to go through that again. But Cammie's here. She says lots of order moms sign up for food stamps and get a lot of government help financially because they don't put the man's name on the birth certificate, so they look like single moms on paper. Yeah. Like 90% of the women in the order do that. Like the mothers, they have a fake name, or it says they unknown as the father so that they can, I mean, I don't think that originally it was so that they could get food stamps, but like they all were like, hey, now we can apply for all this assistance because we're technically single parents. So, and technically the guys don't pay for anything. But I feel like I should do a video on how you can apply for backed up child support for all of the people who've left. Because I was talking about this me and Michelle were actually talking about this in one of the videos, how you can apply for backed up child support. And she was saying something like, oh, I think it gets to, like, the dad has to pay your mom. But someone in my comments said, that they had that happen and they demanded backed up child support from their dad and they themselves got it. So I'm gonna have to look into that. Maybe the laws are different in Utah, but I think it would be very beneficial to look into that. Make the dads be accountable and not just let them roam around buying Star Wars toys with the money they should be putting towards their families. My dad isn't my legal dad. Yeah, Billy, me and you, same boat. I'm a handsome guy, single guy with nice teeth. Can you please hook me up with Colleen? She is stunning. She definitely is. I'll talk to her. I'll talk to her for you. The movie was made in 2013. Okay, yes, Crystal. I think I did see that one. It was like a fictional movie, right? It wasn't like a documentary. I think I remember watching that. Back when I was like leaving the order, I was like super into like I was like fascinated with other cults and like reading like the book The Lost Boy. I was like obsessed with that story, but I had to like hide the book under my pillow because I wasn't allowed to read stories like that because I think it's because it like gives you ideas of like leaving order. But my dad caught me reading it and he took it away, and I was like, I already finished it. But yeah, I watched like I read Keeping Sweet. I feel like that's kind of along the lines of that show you're talking about, or the movie, the one made in 2013. Hi, Cutthroat Pixie. It's good to see you. Michelle says they actually had meetings on how to make as much as you can from the government. Yep. Yep. They definitely, it's funny how, yeah, for as much as they talked about like order history and like the stuff they talked about in church, they definitely talked like more about, well, maybe the same amount about how to like bring your incomings and outgoings in the name of the Lord and give them more money. How we can have a surplus every year. Hi, Lulu. From Chicago. We have a lot of people from Chicago tonight. How old are you? I am 26. Thirsty for Colleen. Everybody is, though. For real. She's gorgeous. Michelle, do you have any advice on emancipation? Okay, so I talked to someone who left the order and had to get emancipated, and they said that I should do a video explaining the process of emancipation so that order members can know how, because like they were talking about how hard it is. And I remember when I was younger, I thought of doing the emancipation process when I was like 16, and I remember printing off all the papers off of this like library printer trying to get the information so that I could get emancipated, but it was like so confusing and it looked so hard, and so I was like, fine, I'm just gonna wait till I'm 18. But if you can imagine, like, if this knowledge could be more public for order members, how many would take it and run with it, you know? Just like that, like how people think that they actually have to be buying their house again off the order because they think that's how the world works, or how I was paying rent to my parents thinking that that was legal, even though that's completely illegal if you're a minor. I think that that might be beneficial to come out with a video where it's like a step-by-step process on how to get emancipated so that these young people can finally take back their freaking rights. Sorry. I'm getting heated. The dad's name is often left blank on the birth certificate. Yeah. So like mine is Kyle Grant, Cammy's is Kyle Grant. I think Rachel's is too. And then I think they like changed the laws in Utah where you didn't have to specify a name. So then everyone younger, it just says unknown. Um, yeah. He doesn't practice polygamy. Hmm. Sydney Morgan, I think I know who you're talking about, but I'm pretty sure he does practice polygamy, but I don't want to like say his name live. Lauren, what religion would you associate yourself with now, or do you prefer to not put a label on your faith or beliefs? I honestly don't know what I believe right now. I'm in this kind of place where it's the first time in my life that I've been comfortable with just hearing other people's ideas and other people's opinions on what they think happens when we die, and I like to like just have a bunch of different ideas on what I think happens when we die. But for the first time in my life, I've just been kind of comfortable with like not knowing right now and just like pondering it. I used to get like so much anxiety though, thinking like I have to know what happens. I have to know like where we're all going when we die. And I think that just comes from being Can you guys hear me? I think that I am glitching. This is so annoying. I just realized I have gum in my mouth. I'm so sorry, you guys. I spit it out for you. But yeah, I don't really go to church. I mean, I'm not against it. I've gone to church in the past. I went with Cammie like a few months ago. But I don't really have any beliefs right now. I think that we go somewhere when we die, and I bring this up every time, and I believe this ever since I even left the order, is like Einstein said, energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It can only be transferred, and we are all energy. So wherever we go somewhere. Do you personally think the Amish are a cult? Well, if you look up the definition of a cult on Google, then yes, because the definition of a cult on Google is like a group of people that do things that are seemed odd by society or weird, and they definitely do. I would love to go to, I think it's in Pennsylvania, right, where a lot of the Amish people have like the bed and breakfasts. I would love to go there and just like see what their world is like for a day. That is ridiculous. Minors paying rent. Yep. I had no idea that was illegal till like a year after I left when someone said, nope, legally your parents are supposed to be providing you a roof over your head. They can't be charging you rent when you're not even an adult. And I was like, wow. Wow. Like the first year and 2 years after I left the cult was just me unraveling all of the crap that was like illegal, and that I was doing like tax fraud for the order, and that I was basically a slave. It was just me realizing the truth. Mary Flinker's on. Hi, Mary. Lauren, I totally understand. I had so much anxiety about the afterlife and everything like that as well. I grew up in a church and would say I'm strong in my faith, but there's so much I don't agree with. Yeah, so I, for like years, would get so stressed out, and I would have like nightmares about what's gonna happen when I die or when we die or where do we all go. And I think it really is because I was raised to believe like and know exactly what's gonna happen when I die, and then I leave and I have to figure out for myself, and I don't believe in anything that they taught me, and so then it's like what do I believe? And it freaked me out so bad. I know it sounds weird. Like I can't even explain the amount of like stress and anxiety that I would have every day just like not knowing. But now, like some days I'm like, oh, nothing matters and we're gonna die. And it like causes me a lot of stress. And then other days I'm like, oh, nothing matters and we're gonna die. And it actually calms me. So I guess it just depends. It depends on where I'm at. But right now I'm okay. I'm okay with like not knowing. But I definitely do believe that something happens. I don't know what. And I'm okay with not knowing everything. We have Amish here in Missouri. Missouri? That's cool. I didn't know that. I'm gonna research them after I get off this live. I think I'm gonna research that whole thing. Hey, Joe's here. Go follow Joe's YouTube, Magic Life John. What does the order believe happens when you die? Oh, that is a good idea for a video. That would take me forever to explain it. But here, I'll try to do like a rundown version of it. They basically believe that there are 3 degrees of heaven. It's kind of like what the LDS people believe, but like the order, it's like LDS on steroids. So they believe that there's 3 degrees of heaven: the celestial, telestial, and terrestrial. The ones that live polygamy, and this is what they taught me when I was growing up. You have to have at least 3 wives to get to the celestial kingdom, and that's what the numbered men, what they're numbering is the men that are getting into heaven. So there's the 3 degrees of heaven, and the truest, most righteous ones will get to the celestial, and then the ones that aren't so righteous will get to the telestial. And maybe Michelle and Cammie and Joe, maybe you can clarify this. From what I remember, they said that some outsiders could actually get to like the lower level of heaven, but they could never get to the higher level. But the 100% taught that nobody who was not white would make it. Like there would be no one who was not white. All of the people who are not white were going straight to hell. I'm sorry. Heck. Um But yeah, so they and then obviously you to be righteous and to get in the celestial kingdom, you have to abide by all of the order standards. You know, K is for kiss. I'll save my first kiss for my wedding day. You have to follow the one above another and not question him. There's like so many rules. Apparently, Michelle was told that if she popped her knuckles, she was going to hell. Heck. But yeah, maybe I should do a video on that. I kind of did one where it was like how to be a good order member, but maybe I'll just go into depth about what they actually believe, what they really believe. Maybe I'll talk about that when I talk about like if you guys are interested in me going into depth about that website that they made where they're explaining their religion, and I'll just tell you all the stuff that they're lying about. That'll be the whole video. And I'll explain it from my own experience of being in the cult for 17 years and still talking to current cult members who are telling me that it's still the same way. Michelle says, yes, that's right about the different degrees of heaven. Okay, Michelle, do you remember them telling you that outsiders could make it to heaven, but they just couldn't make it to like the higher levels? Because I remember that. What happens when you don't pay rent knowing you're minors? They just take it out of your account because all your money's in the order. Like literally, that's what they did when my dad took me out of public school and he was gonna put me in private school. And the private school was well, it was homeschool, and it was $1,000 for the pen foster, and I was like, I'm not paying it because I don't even want to be going here. And then he was like, well, I already took it out of your account. So it's like, even if you don't want to pay rent, they'll just take it out. So you really don't have a choice because they have complete control over everything. Your car is in their name. Your money is in their bank. Your home's in their name. Your only job experience is working for the order. So when you leave, it's like so hard to like, how do you get a job when your experiences? When Rachel left, she wrote down all of her job experience which was all order experiences, and they actually called the number, and the guy, it was the doctor's office in the order, and he was like, oh yeah, I would never hire her again just because she left the order. But he didn't say that. He just was like, he just made her look really bad so that she would have a hard time getting a job on the outside. So yeah, let me see if Michelle says yes, they could only make it to the lowest level of heaven. Yeah. So outsiders, this is what they believe. Outsiders who are righteous enough will make it to the lowest degree of heaven. That's the highest they can ever get to because they were never a part of the order and living the higher laws. But anyone who is not white in there, this is what they taught, will go straight to hell. And I remember asking, I was like, what's the point of them even being born? But they were like, um, they know what they did before this life, and it was kind of like a punishment. Does the order recruit like the LDS? No, they don't have like missionaries and stuff like that. I almost wonder if they're gonna start trying or something, because why would they have that website where they're trying to explain the church as like a greater thing than it is? But no, they don't have missionaries or anything like that. Um, because like, can you imagine what that would look like? That would be really hard to get someone to join. They'd be like, hi, would you like to hear about the Latter-day Church of Christ? So if you just give us everything you own, you can get into heaven. Everyone just slams the door in their face. Ken Jones, that's some gangster stuff. I know, that's why they call the order the mafia of all the polygamous cults, because it's all money based. It's all like very money obsessed and power hungry. Amanda, can you tell us how you ran your secret phone ring when you were in the order? Because you said you were the connect for secret phones when you were there. Yeah. So when I was in the order, I figured out how to get a secret phone, and I figured out that it was a lot easier than I thought. Like I thought it was so hard to get a phone, but I just went into this. So if you go to Walmart, you can get this little flip phone. It's like a burner flip phone for like 10, maybe $20. And then you literally at Walmart you can either get the like scratch off card that's like that one's more expensive. What I would just do is I would literally go into T-Mobile and I would pay for just text, which was $20 a month. And that's what I was doing. And so then I would tell my friends, I would be like, hey, if you want a phone, a flip phone for just text, it'll be $40. And then every month after that will be just $20. You just give me the cash and I'll go in and do it for you. Because I was driving, at this point, I was driving my siblings to and from school every day. So I could like maybe take a lunch break and hurry and run to the T-Mobile store and like get everyone's cash in for their phones. So I had like I had a pretty decent group of people who were like giving me cash every month to be able to like keep their phone subscription going because they didn't know how to do it. So it sucks because when I left, like, then their phone service stopped. Or maybe they figured it out. Like I explained it to them, but it was harder for people to like get around to doing that stuff or like know how to do it. But yeah, I would just get them the phone and they would pay me. And I would just make sure that they kept their subscriptions. Priscilla was one of the ones that I helped her have her phone. And a lot of them were just like using it to text. Like we would text each other with it and then texting outsiders, which was bad, and boys. But when my dad found well, he found out that I had a phone, and he was looking all around the house, and I was so scared that if he found it, he was gonna find all of the numbers of the phone, the secret phones that all of my friends had, right, that I was helping them have, and see what we were all talking about, and then he would get them all in trouble for having phones. So I broke the phone and flushed it down the toilet so that he wouldn't find it. And then he thought, yeah, maybe I should do a video on that. That's like, it's kind of interesting, right? Levels of Heaven is in the Book of Mormon. Yeah, that's what I was saying. So a lot of the order teachings is based off of LDS teachings. Not all of them, but a lot of them are because Joseph Smith. We went by Joseph Smith's teachings. But the original teachings. Do you have a Patreon or like super chats to donate for you? Oh, I'm trying to figure out super chats. I thought I had it figured out. I thought I had it turned on, but I'm researching that more. The only thing I really have right now is you can buy my mugs that I've been creating. I took a lot of time and energy because I just feel weird with like, I don't know, you guys just like giving me money. But if you want to buy a mug, maybe I'll do super chats if you guys want. I was looking into it. It seemed like kind of a cool idea. The order is in the whole Utah. I mean, the Order Church is off of Redwood Road. It's like West Valley-ish area, Salt Lake-ish area. But yeah, there's order members all over. Even in Idaho, there's the potato farm. Amanda, if you want, I can DM you and explain Amish Mennonite cult. Is Mennonite the same thing as Amish? I've heard people talking about the Mennonites. Since I grew up in Ohio, Mennonite, every community is different, so I can only explain so much, though. Interesting. That would be interesting to learn about. Is there a difference between Mennonite and Amish? I want to research that. That's interesting. Is the order still that powerful? You tell me. Well, I'll tell you. Uh, from what I've seen recently, their school, well, this is just something maybe that bothers me, but their school is still running and they were getting in trouble because they were running it as a private school to get or a public school to get those public funds, and they were receiving over $1 million in public funds. And yet and this school has been going on for like 5 years now, and they're not public, they're completely private, they're all Kingston members. There was not a single speck of other race there. So it's basically, you should watch the news reports. These are recent news reports on that school, and it's still running. They got like a slap on the wrist. I don't know why they're still allowed to run. But I don't know, they just have a lot of people that like know how to get around the laws. And then same thing, I 100% believe that they were paying off people of authority, like police officers. And if you watch my video on the day I escaped, I talk about how there was a cop that pulled over and tried to convince me to not press charges on the Kingston guy that abused me. So they definitely know like who to talk to and who to pay money to. And I like to, I'm gonna have to end this video pretty soon, but I want to end it on this note that I wanted to bring up. Michelle, I wonder if you remember this, or anyone else who was from the order. Do you remember Paul getting up on stage and saying, "Every man has his price"? Sorry, am I shaking? I remember him saying that, and it like freaked me out, like gave me chills. Like every man has his price, and I really feel like he truly believes that. Like he can get anyone to do what he wants because he has the money, you know? But yeah, 100% they are more powerful. They are very powerful right now. I feel like they're scared right now because a lot of eyes are on them, but they still have a lot of money. And like honestly, if people start coming for Paul, he's just gonna go in hiding. Like they've gone in hiding before. So Plus, it's like, you tell me, like, all of this stuff, all of this exposure has happened and no one's been arrested. So I think that they are pretty powerful. Okay, I'm gonna answer one more question and then I'm gonna go because I've been on here for a little bit. But this has been fun. I feel like we always talk about very interesting things and then I end up like Googling a bunch of stuff later because you guys teach me a bunch of cool stuff. Like I'm gonna Google Mennonites after this. It's so good to get to hang out with you weekly. I know, Crystal. Maybe one day we'll meet in person. Maybe I'll go to Missouri. If you guys ever want to send me a letter, I always send letters back. My P.O Box is in, maybe I'll put it in my bio, but the picture of me opening the mail on my Instagram, my P.O Box is in there. Is there any way to actually take them down? I mean, if you find out, let me know. But I think that the best thing that we can do right now is keep exposing them, keep telling our stories, keep talking about what has happened, and if we get enough people with that are sharing their stories, that are all of our stories are very similar. We're all confirming that they do have a bank. We're all confirming that there's fake dads on our birth certificates. All of this crap is unraveling. Then they're gonna have to do something, right? Something's gonna have to be done. I think also I am going to start coming out with videos that are explaining how to get emancipated. And I had women who were married in the order who reached out trying to get ideas on how to leave. And they were convinced that if they left, then the husband would get their kids. Like they were convinced that that was the law. And so I want to like make videos that will like basically have proof and show the laws so that these women aren't so afraid to leave. And I remember when I was having there was a bunch of abuse that happened that I witnessed. And I remember threatening my dad that I would call the police if I saw him do it again. And he told me that, and he laughed and told me the police would be on his side. So like stuff like that, and I remember believing him. So it's like that's like the only people you know, that's the only world you know. So when they're telling you, oh, if you leave me, I'm gonna take your kids and the police will be on my side, like it's like you don't know if they're lying or not. So I think that we just need to keep talking about this, keep spreading awareness about this, and then maybe just making videos for these order members to realize that they do have rights and what they need to do in certain situations if they want out. But thank you guys so much for all of your questions. This was a really good live, and I have to go, but I hope you guys had a really happy New Year's. And I'm coming out with that Q&A video on Tuesday, and then I will see you next week in my culty cup of coffee. Okay, good night, guys. Bye.